Welcome to the June Scardello Cheese Club. My name is Rich, this is Alejandro, and we're here to talk to you about this month's theme, which is American cheese, cheeses that are made here domestically. So way back in 2008 when we started, Scardello was a little bit different than most cheese shops in the country because we had the majority of our cheeses were domestic cheeses. Today that's not unusual at all, which I'm very happy to say. There's tons of fantastic producers here in the United States, and so since we're coming up on July 4th and big Independence Day celebration, we wanted to go ahead and celebrate with some fun American cheeses. So Alejandro, what are you excited about with this club this month?
There's some fun stuff that we haven't featured, and I think also we wanted to feature things that will highlight as many different categories and producers as possible. So I'm excited for the ones that we picked.
Yeah, for sure. So starting with our standard club, I know that we sent a half wheel out in an earlier club a few months back, but we had to focus on Cowgirl Creamery again this year. And so we have a wheel of Mount Tam in your box. Mount Tam triple cream from California, just absolutely delicious. Should be great with all of the accompaniments, but just like it's kind of classic buttery triple cream.
Yeah, and I feel also like Mount Tam has earned this spot as like quintessential American cheese when it comes to like some soft ripening or brie style. So having this in the club, I'm excited everybody gets to have a full wheel.
Yeah, for sure. We also have a 2-year cheddar from Shelburne Farms. You can see the block here. So this is a block cheddar, so rindless cheddar. Shelburne, really cool producer in Vermont. If you ever get a chance to visit the barns there, incredible. The architecture of the farm is great, but just kind of a classic Vermont cheddar. When I think about cheddar, I know a lot of people think about Wisconsin, but for me, like one of my favorite regions for cheddar is Vermont, and this one, aged 2 years, just really nice and balance of savory and sweet.
Yeah, and this is a cheddar that I feel like it focuses so well in the flavor of like what an American cheddar can be, opposed to maybe a cloud-bound cheddar or even of English-style cheddar. It has the perfect amount of sweetness and high acid, which makes you kind of like want to go for another bite.
Yeah, no, this is a great cheddar, and it'll be great to cook with, but also just fantastic to snack with as well. We have a cheese, another cheese from California called Estero Gold. I don't have we cut it all up for the club, so it's on its way out the door. But this is a cow's milk cheese from the Valley Ford Creamery in California. It's a natural rinded cheese, so the outside's going to have some brown and gray molds. Don't eat that. But what you're going to really see, it's got this beautiful golden color. That's because the cows are out on grass eating, fresh grasses. And this is a really cool, just delicious snackable cheese.
Yeah, and it's really fun to have this because I think we mentioned this on the menu when you guys get the handout. It's really cool how you get to see things that are being American produced, but they're not specifically tied to like a recipe or a specific style of cheese. So we're doing Estero Gold, which is kind of like their own homage or even play on something that could be maybe like an Italian style cheese, but also Alpine style of cheese. Like even if you look at the piece that was sent in the box, it has a very uniform texture and even look like it. There's no creases or eyes, which makes the cheese have this like a buttery texture to it, but the aging and the texture makes it also really good for a grating cheese.
Yeah, no, it's a very versatile. Like Alejandro said, like it's one of those cheeses that doesn't like fit a specific old school or old world style of cheese, but that's one of the cool things about what American producers are doing is they are trying new and different things, and so that's just a great example of that. We also have from our friends at Jasper Hill, we've got some Alpha Toman. So this is an Alpine style cheese. It's going to have that kind of classic orangish rind, a little bit sticky, maybe a little bit pungent to the smell, but this is one of those cheeses that, while it's fantastic to eat, from a cooking standpoint, this is the kind of cheese that just melts perfectly on top of almost anything. So if you've got some, vegetables in the oven that you're roasting, pull those out right before you're going to serve them. Grate a little bit of this on top, put them back in for a minute, let that melt, and you're going to elevate that dish to another level for sure.
Yeah, and Alpine cheese has the quality of having like a brothy, nutty, also like meaty kind of profile. So having that present in the box where we have so many sweeter flavors, like with the cheddar or even with the mountain, it's kind of like a different version of what you can get from American cheese. So I'm excited to have something that shows a different texture but also a different flavor profile.
So accompaniment-wise, Alejandro, we've got a marmalade.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I'm excited for this one, and the fun thing is like when we started to put the club together, this was the first thing that we put, and then the cheese came after. But bacon marmalade is something that we carry for through the years now. This is a company from Pennsylvania, and they operate out of an old firefighter station. So a portion of their sales still goes to benefits the local firefighter stations in Pennsylvania. And still, I feel like it's a fun thing to find small producers that focus on like giving also the same way we do at the shop or even the educational part. So having their jams at the shop at all times is something that we carry, even if you have one of our platters. But the bacon jam has a great texture because you get the texture of the bacon bits as well as a little bit of a sweetness from orange, and the caramelization of all the sugars makes it just like a sweet, savory bomb that goes well with honestly any of the cheeses.
Yeah, for sure. We also have, speaking of universally great with cheese, in this box we have some crackers from our friends at Potter's. Potter's small batch crackers. They're using organic wheat for this. And what I like about it, like these crackers are just, they're light, they have a nice crisp texture. So they're good with soft cheeses, but they're also, you know, so you could, they're strong enough where you can dip that through maybe a little bit of that Mount Tam, but they're strong enough to hold on to and hold up to like a cheddar or another like firmer cheese. Yeah. So just a really good universal accompaniment for everything. And like I said, small batch made in Wisconsin, so just really cool cracker. So for our Deluxe Club members, we've got a couple of really fun cheeses in this month's box for you guys. The first of which is Wabash Cannonball. So it's gonna show up in one of these little cups here. And it is a little bitty ball-shaped goat cheese covered in ash. Got a little bit of a pungent smell, so if you open your box and there's some smell there, that's okay, that's normal. One of my favorite producers, Jasper Hill, they have a sticker they put on some of the boxes that they ship out that says odor is normal. So anyway, that's maybe what's going on here, but this is a goat cheese from Capriole Amazing Dairy from Indiana. I'm actually going to be able to go to the farm in about a month, which I'm super excited about. But Judy Shad, the original founder of Capriole, and now her grandson Sam has taken over and runs the operation, and just a really cool small producer that just makes incredible goat cheese. Yeah. And so Wabash Cannonball, don't have it in the case all that often. We brought it in specifically for the club this month, and very excited for you guys to have it.
Yeah, and it's really fun to see a producer from Indiana making cheese that's so alike or even at the same level as a classic goat cheese from the Loire Valley. And even though the cheese might be, when you open it, might be a little pungent, the ash on the outside gives the cheese kind of like this mineral flavor and almost like a more savory profile, opposed to something like a plain goat cheese that might be a little sour or tangy. So it really changes experience with the goat's milk, but the texture that you get from the ash, it also makes it very, very interesting, kind of like a brie.
Yeah, it's a super cool cheese. We also have a cheese from Point Reyes Creamery in California. This is their Fennel Blue. This is their newest blue cheese. They have their original blue, which they started making when they first opened up. They have Bay Blue, which this is kind of modeled after Bay Blue. I think it's the Bay Blue recipe, but with fennel added. But fennel seeds and like that fennel flavor and blue, there's something really cool about that combination. And I love that in this cheese. You know, I don't always like tout flavored cheeses. They're not always my favorites, but when it's done really well and when the flavor's in balance like it is here, really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, and I think that's all because Point Reyes does amazing blue, and Bay Blue has this sweet profile, kind of like a white chocolate or cream finish, that introducing the fragrance and the sweetness of the fennel seeds totally balances that. But still, able to taste the blue in the cheese, but there's a lot of much more sweetness that comes with the taste of the cheese.
Yeah, for sure. So accompaniment-wise, what do we got, Alejandro?
We got two fun ones. We're doing a little honey from Marshall Farms. It's also named after mountain, or the mountain Thermopolis. And they describe this honey as something that they harvest all the way from the top of the mountain all the way to the bottom. So sometimes it can be a wildflower honey with more maybe floral notes, lighter style, but it's really fun when we get them because they always tend to be a little different. And it's fun to have two things in the club that are named after one specific place. And then we also have Cliff Farms family. They're located also in California, and they do almonds that are going to be flavored with smoked paprika or pimenton. And I thought it would be something fun to have a textural element besides the cracker, but the sweetness and the smoky profile of the pimenton or this paprika should be really good with the blue cheese, or even to introduce kind of some savory notes with the cheddar or even with the brie.
Yeah, no, it's. I'm excited about both of those, particularly this honey. This honey, unfiltered, just a really cool raw honey that is delicious, and so should go with, of course, honey and cheese. Perfect pairing together. So that is the club. Amazing cheeses, amazing accompaniments, all here from the United States. So that is exciting as well. Next month we have jam and cheese, so we're going to be focused on an accompaniment versus the cheese itself.
Yes.
So we're going to have multiple jams in your box, and we'll have cheeses that will pair perfectly with those. Some really fun variety. It is going to be an exciting club. If you've never really fiddled around with different jams and cheeses, that is we do a class here a couple times a year. It's fantastic. Jam and cheese always great together. So that's what we've got going on. As always, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, send those to me, rich@scardellocheese.com. It's the only one on the website. And thank you for being members of the club, and we look forward to seeing you next month.